Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be doing a brief stock analysis on Ford, and just a quick disclaimer, this is not really going to be a deep dive into their financials, but more so me giving my opinion on the company and giving my general outlook for the overall industry. Taking a look at Ford's stock here, it's been a rough 5 years. 5 years ago they were trading at just under $15, and then now they're just under $7 with a recent low of $4. And if you did get into Ford around $4, I would say that's a pretty sweet dividend and value stock. I don't know exactly what that yield would be, but it's got to be around 15%, and Ford's probably a little bit undervalued right now, at least for a somewhat short-term investment of a few years. And here, taking a look at their financials, their revenue is really steady, or a little under 160 billion for year over year for the last 4 years. Then looking at earnings for 2019, that's what's really troubling, and it's even more troubling if we take a look at the quarterly. And toward the bottom right there, we see Q4 of 2019, completely before COVID and unrelated to COVID, they had negative earnings. And then in Q1, which is somewhat COVID's fault, they had negative earnings. And I'm sure Q2 is going to have negative earnings as well. And now I'm switching over to Robinhood, and I just wanted to share here that the dividend yield is up towards 9, which is pretty freaking high for a company like this that's almost guaranteed to rebound after they offload some of their debt and really transition towards their new management. But I'll touch on that just a little bit more here in just a second. So now I'm going to talk about some of the points from the Bears and the Bulls by analysts at Morningstar. So now switching to the first positive point by the analyst at Morningstar, Ford is focusing its investments where it gets the best return, which is why they're exiting most of their car segments, except for just 2, I believe, Mustang, and I'm not actually even positive of the other one, and that's really just to help improve their profits. And they've really been forced to, because as we kind of saw with their stock price, it's been struggling for the last 5+ years. And then I'm just going to transition down to that third point because I'm really not too knowledgeable about Ford's bureaucracy, to be honest. But down to the third point, Ford's stock looks very undervalued to us, but we expect it to remain depressed under its debt load as Ford restructures. So they have a ton of debt right now, which is needed to kind of push the new car segments into new areas. And they're also restructuring some of their top management as well. Now switching over to the points of a couple of points from the Bears at Morningstar. The first one being that the auto industry is very cyclical, and until recently, Detroit automakers have been losing significant U.S. market share to foreign automakers for years, and I would even add on to that for decades. I think Ford has been losing a lot of market share to Toyota since the 90s at least. And then there's kind of a couple of points in that second paragraph there. The first is that Ford stock can sell off heavily on macroeconomic fears, even if the company itself is doing well. So I think they are saying that there are a lot of macroeconomic fears currently, but the company is still in a pretty good financial situation, even if they do have a really heavy debt burden right now. And then continuing on with that, furthermore, it takes significant investment to fund growth in the auto industry, which limits potential margin expansion. And Ford's debt is currently high, and I really don't know if they're going to be able to continue to invest as significantly as they have. So it really remains to be seen what's going to be happening with Ford. And here is the research report overview on Robinhood. I'd normally dive into a couple of these a little bit, but I just wanted to take a minute talking about Ford. There's probably some Ford owners, really proud Ford owners, that are a little bit disappointed with what I've said in this video. I think Ford will continue to thrive for many years to come, but they do have a lot to be worried about. I don't think Ford is nearly as innovative as it once was, and they're not really doing anything to keep up with some of their foreign competitors, as well as here in the United States with Tesla. Although I think Ford will be around for another decade, I don't know if they don't invest more into their EVs, if they're really going to be able to compete long-term with companies like Volkswagen that are really adapting electric vehicles and really ramping up production of them. I've made a ton of other brief stock analysis videos very similar to this one, so be sure to come and check those out if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe for more content.